There are a lot of NGOs and non-profits that work in education sector. Majority of them work in areas like teacher training, curriculum building, parent engagement, but very few of them work towards bringing back play to school. In this virtually advancing world and increasing number of small schools to accommodate school-going children, play in playgrounds has been a rare reality. Schools these days are not having playgrounds or not seeing playgrounds as an important factor to open a school, which is sad. Today, I talked to Pooja Rai of Anthill Creations, an organization which is trying to solve this problem by building playgrounds in schools and communities. Interesting, right? Without wasting any time, let's start the conversation. With that said, welcome to Reinvent. Firstly, thank you so much for coming to my show and talking to me. It really means a lot. Yeah, so my first question is that how important has play been in your life? Because what I'm trying to understand is was it the decrease in importance of play among present day children that led you into this? Tell me a bit about that.
So basically, like we came across this idea first when we were studying architecture in our college, and we saw that in one of the schools called Disha Seema Care Center, children were playing with those broken cement pipes. They were using slippers to play badminton, and we felt that there was a need of an object play there. So, that's when it occurred to us that we can build a playground for these children. And over the next 1.5 years, we received more than 350 requests from across the country asking us to come and build a playground for them. So that's when we realized that the need is such large and not many people who are working on this problem. Like in India, if you see, there are a lot of organizations who are trying to improve education inside the classroom. How can we train teachers better? But I think we don't even have the awareness that how powerful is play and how it can impact children's lives. So once we had an understanding of that, we took this venture full time, and we are on a mission to make sure that every child has access to play.
Right. What goes in establishing a playground? Do you guys have a place there, or you need to figure out from site to getting stuff and all?
So basically, we build these playgrounds in low-income communities. So it could be a government school, it could be a slum community, or it could be a public area as well. So what we do is we identify a space which is unused in that area. So if you look at cities like Bangalore, there are a lot of dead spaces in the city, like under the flyover spaces or corner spaces, which end up becoming a dump yard. So we pick up those spaces, work with the government to get that cleaned, and build a playground and a community space where people and children can come and play. Similarly, when we work in a government school, we work with the sports teacher and the headmaster to identify a space which will be best suited to build a playground for children and best suited for the age group of that particular school. And post that, we basically design the playground and built it.
Okay. Coming to design, how important role that design plays in the whole process, right? We know that children are curious, so that should be combined with design, or irrespective of the design. Do you, according to the experience, will children, play the same way they are?
So, as an architect, I believe that spaces and design is very powerful in defining the behavior of people. If you look at the typical playground, something that hasn't changed for a decade is a slide, swing, and a seesaw that you see in a playground. We have never thought beyond that. So what we did at Anthill was we tried to understand what children want, what can they imagine, because I feel as we grow in age, as we become adults, we get defined by what we see around us. But children are very innocent, very raw in their thought process. So we do a lot of workshops with children where we try and understand what is their perception of play, what play means to them. And we saw that, context is very important. So when we interacted with children from urban communities, we saw that children were more interested in things like rocket and climber. And when we interacted with children from rural communities, they were more interested in things like elephant, horses. Even though they had never seen these things in a playground, they really wanted them. And we as designers took up that challenge to convert their ideas into reality. So if you look at our playgrounds, we have actually built elephants and horses and cars and rocket. Also, one of the things that we really take care of when we design these playgrounds is the holistic development of a child that happens through play. So we make sure that there are elements which involve physical activity. There is an element of active play in a playground. We also make sure that the child is also having social emotional development. So if you look at some of the play elements like a seesaw, we have also made four-way seesaw where multiple children have to come together to play on that. So design by itself defines the behavior of children, that multiple children will come and they will play together. Whereas we also give design a few of the play elements where a child can play alone. Um, so I think in a playground there should be space for every type of play. There should be a mix of dynamic and static play. There should be all activities from swinging, climbing, crawling. Uh, the play elements in a playground has similar activities, it might not be that appealing to children and will also not lead to their holistic development. So I think that is where the component of design is very important.
Right. I mean, once a playground is built, who will take care of that? Is there organization, or if it is in urban slums or rural communities, does the community get involved in taking care of it?
So we basically, as an organization, when we build a playground, we do take up maintenance for a year, and we do that along with the community. So, I mean, the way we build our playgrounds is completely DIY, and for which you do not really need a special expertise. Um, so when we build a playground, even from before that, we involve the community in the process. We ask them, what do you want here? And based on their requirement, we build the playground. So that brings in a sense of ownership in the community. And we tell them, post we complete the building the playground, we remain involved with that playground for a year. And in that process, every 3 months when we visit the playground, we identify a community champion who becomes our point of contact. If there is anything that breaks or anything that needs repainting or work, that community champion will basically connect with us to take it forward. And after 1 year, we hand it over completely to the community or a school, wherever we are developing it, and they take care of it. Because we don't want to have a conversation where we are going and building a playground for them, but it's more of their ownership, it's their area, and we are going and helping them build a playground for their own children. So that has really worked out for us.
Right. I mean, coming to DIY method of making things, was it a conscious choice to use reusable materials so that the space is also environment friendly, or did you discovered over the time in the process?
So, so basically, when we built our first playground, we were students and we didn't have money, so we couldn't afford some of the fanciest playgrounds. So the first
Right.
playground happened because of the need. To be very honest, we realized that there is a need of a playground, and we only have so much money. We thought we'll put together a few tires and build a playground. But eventually, we retained that idea once we took this venture full time, because we believe that we identified tire as one of the very modular material, right? It's very soft, it's very safe for children, and also if we can recycle these huge amount of waste, then you are basically solving two problems with one solution. So that is why I think even as architects, we always try and make a sustainable choice in terms of the material. I mean, I think there is no big innovation in this. I feel that it is just common sense to be able to, to sort of reuse material. I think that is something that we should imbibe in our daily lifestyle as well. And hence, like even in our playgrounds, we have seen that we are not just recycling material, but when children see these things in the playground, they it's something beyond just what they read in textbooks. So in one of the playgrounds that we had built, the children came to the teacher and asked, "Oh, this is the 3R concept that you taught in class." So something that they have been learning in theory, they are able to see in front of their eyes. And they went back home and they themselves took these plastic bottles and made planters out of it. So the entire concept of recycling is getting imbibed in children practical example in front of their eyes. So it is a conscious choice, and we would want to continue doing that.
Right. I mean, coming to, I mean, the kind of games they play. I mean, again, when they get a space, they go and play. I mean, do you guys structure any kind of activities or you leave them to wander? Because, I mean, or you do that initial kind of, habituating them to the like space and all.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question, Pranay. So whenever we build a playground, we always get asked this question that, okay, you have built it, but how will children use it now? And we say that if we have to tell children how to play with it, maybe we have not done it right. So structured play is definitely important, but unstructured play and free play, as we call it, is very, very helpful for children, right? Like in terms of they are able to, it helps them improve their creativity and imagination. So some of the playground designs, if you would see, are very, very abstract. There are like these cube climbers, and there are these tunnels, and we think of like one or two ways of playing on those elements, but children will discover 100 different ways. I mean, if you look at the slide, right, like we all have seen a child who goes up the slide. So
Right.
children will not follow the normal rules that you tell them, but they are, I think, by default, very, very creative, very imaginative, and we should let them sort of explore and not spoon feed them with every step of how to do this, how to do that. I mean, if we just look at the trend, right? Like children get to hear no a lot. Can I do this? No. Can I go there? No. Right? Like that has become like a pattern. I think we should give them some freedom. We should create boundaries for them, but we should give them some freedom to be able to explore what they want to do, which will help them in developing their imagination as they grow up and eventually become better and innovative adults.
Right, coming to that, I mean, yeah, I mean, school is a place where we get conditions that is unfortunate, but parents also play a very important role, right? Yeah, so I mean, in these times where we see education and play are two different things, unfortunately,
Mhm.
and it has become a constructed reality. Have you faced any problems from the, parent side or something? Because when children enjoy playing, they want to play more, right? Obviously.
Yeah. So, in one of the first few playgrounds when we visited, we wanted to build a playground and we spoke to the headmaster. And the headmaster said that please don't build a playground here because it's going to distract my children. While they're studying inside the
Right.
classroom, they will see a playground outside and they would want to go, which is true. But I just felt that there was something terribly wrong with this mindset, right? Like, um, most of the teachers that you would see will be focused on a very blackboard education, a very classroom education. What we also need to realize is that children learn a lot while they're playing outside as well. So we have seen once we built, so the same school, the sports teacher convinced the headmaster, and we ended up building a playground. And we saw the mindset change that happened. So that particular headmaster was so happy after the playground was built. After 2 months, when we visited the place, the headmaster was saying that my children do not go outside now. They remain inside the school. They come early to school. They stay back after the school. So he was able to see a transformation himself. So I feel we have this entire mindset that play is trivial, play is a waste of time, which is not. It helps children, especially in their early years, to develop a lot of cognitive, physical, social, emotional skills, which cannot happen in four walls of a classroom. We have to let them be themselves. We've also seen a lot of children, a lot of teachers being innovative. They are conducting outdoor classes, and especially in times of COVID, I think it's becoming even more important to have outdoor classes, to spread out children, do different activities. I mean, our education system cannot be very theoretical. It has to get combined with practical knowledge, develop curiosity in children, and let them do hands-on things. So we have seen initially, yes, we faced a lot of problem convincing people that play is learning and learning is play, right? Like it's not a war between learning and play. So it took us some time to convince a lot of people initially, but now I think because we are a very fast-paced organization and we believe in actions, right? Like we were like, we thought that we cannot convince people by showing them research papers or talking to them. let's actually show them in front of their eyes the impact that is happening. And hence we like built around 25 playgrounds in the first year. And when people could see in front of their eyes the impact that was happening, the change that they could see in the children that they were studying, um, even like, so whenever we build a playground, there are 10 more schools around that area who come and who reaches out to us and says that we also want this in our school. So we see that slowly that is changing. And this year we completed 250 playgrounds, and there are another 500 schools who have requested us from across the country where they want to build a playground. So the need is definitely there, and even the mindset is changing. People are becoming more aware about why is it important for children to play. Or a lot of parents have reached out to us asking us that my children is all the day involved, is just looking at phone and playing video games. Like what are the locality, what are the games that they can play outside as well. So I think slowly parents are also becoming more aware, more conscious.
Right, and also I just want to ask about your rural spaces because many people in the rural community doesn't have access to schools only, right? I mean, so in that context, do you see this as some learning revolution or something? Because they have some free space where they can play, and in return, without unconsciously, they can learn. So, do you see this as a alternative place where if there is no school, also I can go somewhere else and learn something like that?
To be very honest, we are not trying to replace schools with this. We are not trying to create
Right.
science parks. We are trying to create these inviting spaces for children where they come just to have fun, but in the process also end up learning a lot of concepts, end up having a development. And that is the challenge that we try to solve, right? Like we have to create spaces where they will have self learning, they will learn how to make friends, they will learn the 21st century skills, as we call it. So we're not trying to sort of replace the education system here. That is definitely required. What I'm trying to say is that play is a very important component of the entire learning and education in our system. And you talked about rural communities. So I had visited a few. We have worked in very rural communities in Odisha and West Bengal. And when I went to these villages and I spoke to the people, when I spoke to children, I asked them, do you like going to school? And they said that they love going to school because school becomes an escape for them from their home, right? Like they go there to meet people, to meet their friends and have a good time, and also, of course, learn in the process. So I feel that schooling is important, and uh, we should have schools even in rural areas. And I've seen that people who want to study, they do travel a lot, even if they live in villages, and they're trying to sort of like work along with schools to create these spaces where they themselves are motivated to come because of the fun component of it.
I mean, what I feel is that for you guys also to evolve as an organization, you need to have some checkpoints, right? I mean, since initially it was new and everything is going fast paced.
So basically, we have a very strong feedback mechanism that we have built over time. And every playground that we build, we do an initial survey and a baseline survey to understand where that school or the community stands at. And then when we build the playground, post that also we do a survey, and then along with the maintenance for the next 1 year, we also take these feedback from the communities. So we do an analysis of what are the elements that children are liking, what are the things that they're not liking, with what elements are they having learning. So we do take feedback from teachers and parents and even children themselves. We spend time with them trying to understand what is happening in these playgrounds. And we take all of that feedback into consideration, and we have like, there's a constant learning that happens within the team as well. So that is from a feedback point of view. Second is, I think, how we have been building playgrounds. So typically, how we build a playground is in 4 steps. So the first step is we do a site survey, we interact with the community, we get all the details, how many children are there, what is the dimension. The second step is the design. So based on those detailed collected details, we do the design of the playground. And now we have modular design. So we have more than 100 designs that we have done. So we find the right combination that will work for that community. And if that particular community has a special requirement, we try and incorporate that as well. We try to use local material whenever we are working in a different geography. And the third step is basically procurement of materials. So whatever material we are using, be it tires, drums, or metal, we procure that. And the final step is the execution. So this entire process we have evolved over time, and now we have a very smooth process. We complete a playground in 4 days, from taking 3 months when we built our first playground to building 30 playgrounds in a month in this February. I think we have grown a lot in terms of the processes, how we have been able to optimize in terms of time and cost and resources. We have automated a lot of things in our own organization as we grow. So, and hence, like with such a lean team, we have been able to build playgrounds across 18 states in India.
Yeah, I mean, that's really great. And I mean, keeping all this for apart for some time and talking about finances, I mean, I have this general view that social organizations generally,
Hmm.
lack money to scale up or something. I don't know if that's true, but that is something from a general observation. So, how do you build them? How do you crowd fund them, or do you have funds? How does it work?
So initially in 2017, when we took this venture full time, we did face a lot of problems, especially like I came from a very startup environment. I did not have any experience in the development sector. So I didn't know a lot of these legal compliances and nuances of what are the problems that can come in fundraising. Uh, at that point in time, there was very little support for early stage nonprofits in the country. And a lot of places where we applied for incubation or support or fundraising, we got rejected because we were very new. So we gave up on that idea and we thought, okay, the project that we have decided, let's do that. Let's focus on building playgrounds. So we did crowdfunding, and it was amazing how hundreds of people came forward and supported us through crowdfunding. So we built our first 3, 4 playgrounds through crowdfunding. And once that sort of started getting attention, we reached out to our network, friends, family, to connect with companies like Mahindra, Godrej, who were our early supporters. So they believed in our concept, they believed in our potential, and they funded some of our playgrounds. And that's how we sort of survived the first year, I would say. Once we started doing things on the ground, I think we were fortunate that at the same time, IIM Bangalore started its first non-profit incubator for early stage nonprofits, and we got selected for that. So I think incubation is very important, especially when for a person like me who started very early in my career, right? Like I did not have a lot of experience before I started this. So incubation helped me in a lot of ways. It gave us the first grant, which gave us the confidence to build a team, hire more people. It also connected us with some of the amazing mentors. So whenever I had to take some important decisions, I could discuss that with my mentors, and they wouldn't take the decision for us, but they would ask us the right questions. They would help us put structures. They would tell us examples of what people have done and what might work for us and might not work for us. So that guidance really helped. And the entire ecosystem, I feel, of the incubation centers is so amazing. You see a lot of other organizations around you who are growing. There's high energy. The motivation remains high. You connect with other founders. You discuss problems, and a lot of time you're going through the similar problems, and you can solve them together as well. So I think there was not a very structured way how we grew in terms of fundraising. So we started with crowdfunding, went to a corporate funding who helped us as part of the CSR. Incubators came in the process, which sort of accelerated our growth. And now we work in multiple ways. We work with companies as part of CSR. We also do employee engagement with companies where they come and build a playground with us. And we are also exploring other ways of fundraising now.
Right. Again, here I want to ask two things. One thing is, I mean, myself being someone who is going to graduate this year and who want to do something in development sector, there is something that stops me. I mean, it's not the, I don't say it's not the, vision or something. It's just because nobody around me is doing the, same thing which I wanted to do. And again, if you see the problems in our country, there are a lot, but there are very few young people and organization like yours which come up to solve these problems. So what do you think is missing? Do you think it's the sensitization that is missing, or do you think people are very comfortable with ignoring things?
Um, it's a hard question. Um, See, I'll be very honest with you. It is not easy, right? Like, and that is one of the reasons why
Right.
most people don't take it up. When I took this venture full time, I did not know a single alumni from my college, from IIT Kharagpur, who was doing things, who was running a non-profit. In a year's time, I got to know about them, and there are many, but I did not know about them when I took it full time. So I questioned myself many times that am I taking a right decision for my career? Uh, I got questioned a lot by everyone around me as well. And that made you think, right? Like that makes you think that if you might be making a wrong decision. But I felt strong, very, very strongly about the problem. I always wanted to work with children. I always wanted to do a startup of my own because I believe that brings the best in me. And I wanted to sort of like I wanted to work on a something which is creating impact directly to the bottom of the pyramid, as in helping communities disadvantaged who are not able to help themselves, enable them. So that was my thought process, and I knew I was in the right direction. So I wouldn't say I ignored the noise, but in spite of that,
Mhm.
I just made sure that I try it for at least a few years before I give up on this idea. So it wasn't an easy choice, but I think you have to take risk if you want to go ahead in life, and uh, that is what sort of differentiates you from the crowd as well. Many people that I meet are motivated by money. So if you are planning to make $1 million, probably starting a nonprofit organization might not be the best choice for you. So, and there is nothing right or wrong. I think you have to ask yourself
Right.
what you really want to do in life. If you actually get moved by the problems that you see around you and you want to do something about it, you can take a choice. It is a choice that you have to make. You can do it full time. You can do it part time, right? A lot of people have been able to create huge impact even working part time, and I feel every one of us, irrespective of what we are doing, should give back to the society, either through money, either through time, right? Like that's what makes you a community. uh, if you can
Right.
just see a community suffering in front of you and you have the capability to help them and you're not helping them, then you sort of dissociate yourself. So I feel there are ways how you can do it, and it is a very personal choice. Like,
Right. I get.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is my last but one question. See, I mean, there has been an increase in enrollment rates over time in government schools or private schools, whatever it is. But all at the same time, there also been increase in dropout rates. So, do you think interventions like yours help poor people or whoever are deciding to drop from schools to regain the trust? Because if you think from their perspective, also schools are clearly not serving the purpose, right? So, do you think, I mean, interventions like yours would help them to build that trust again over learning as a whole?
So I think a lot of these things are dependent on perception as well. Most people want to
Right.
send their children to private schools because they feel they have a better infrastructure, they have a better, education system. But I feel that a government school system in itself is so strong. If multiple organizations like ours, I feel what we are doing is just a drop in this big ocean, and there are multiple such organizations that should come forward, right? Like there are many organizations who are doing music in classes, art in education, and we are doing play in education. So we need to bring all of these components and work with the government schools to make them so that they're able to provide holistic development to children and not a very text-based education. Um, there are a lot of organizations who are helping government school teachers teach better through the help of technology and tools. And I think all of these interventions together will improve um, the education system, how we are imparting education to the children from low income communities, and do not they can also basically reach the potential that they have and not get limited by by the fact that they're studying in government school or private school.
So my last question is that if I ask you what are the two biggest lessons you learn in this journey, what would be they?
Um, So something that comes on top of my mind, and these are not like the top two ways, but something that just came the first in my mind. I think the first lesson, something that I keep telling myself all the time is don't give up, right? Like the people who have succeeded are not the people who didn't fail, but are the people who got up and started again. So that's something whenever I go through a crisis or I feel this is not working, I just tell myself, don't give up, give it some time, do the best you can at this scenario, and things will fall in place. So I think if we have that attitude of not giving up, I think you can move forward in in doing your startup. And the second thing is uh, second thing, I think while working with the communities, I have realized that whenever you're working on an idea, you have to keep the users in mind. A lot of times we say that, okay, we want to create this product. We don't look at solving the problem. So I think one should be driven by the problem that you're trying to solve, and you should be very close to your users and take a continuous feedback, fail fast, keep improving, not wait for the final. You don't wait that you will develop a final product and they take it to the community and it will be a jackpot hit. So I feel it's a continuous process to keep learning, keep improving. And that's something that we have very actively done in our organization, and we can see the growth because of that. So yeah, those would be my last two points.
Right. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I wish you all luck for all great work you guys are
Thank you
doing
so
there.
much, Pranay. It was lovely talking to you.